That.
Okay, I'm live. I'm gonna let it, I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to get in here for today's live. It's only gonna be 1 hour exactly, and then I'm getting off. If I don't get to your comments, I apologize. But I will try to get to each and every comment. We're making it uh dance with Battle Prophet. We're doing the best we can. Um, I've been researching some stuff on, you know, frequencies in this EEG heterodyning, which a lot of people in the community are saying it's in. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. I just, I'm a thinker. Holly's a thinker. We think deep, and the conclusion I've come to, especially since uh I got to thinking, if they can if they can mind control people and hit people with weapons without implants, nobody's going to admit it because all these businesses of finding implants and stuff are so important and bring in so much money, it will never be admitted. So I want to read an article that I found. Man, also I there's something called the hold on 1 second. It says the radio frequency radiation dosimetry handbook offers further proof of the government's intent to map out each American's own unique EMF brain wave print for the purpose of creating a signals intelligence driven domestic spy program that can be used to track each citizen by way of their own body's own unique set of EMF signatures. It also serves as evidence the U.S. military intelligence complex perceives the human brain to be little more than an organic computer which they can covertly program without the TI person ever realizing that this insidious acts perpetrated against them. Now, am I saying certain people don't have implants or they don't use implants? No, I know Holly's got implants. I probably got them. But what I'm saying is they're not needed for this technology. And people are not going to admit it because if they admit it, then what they've told everybody for years and what they're trying to sell target individuals is not valid. So, and I also find it funny that uh, after I called out a certain person for using the ACECOFC 1003 device to try to detect implants and charging a bunch of people for it, after I proved that it could not possibly detect frequencies coming from implants, it cannot differentiate frequencies coming from implants and frequencies not coming from implants. It can't differentiate from the two. After I done that, the guy I proved everywhere that his technology could not do that. He upgraded his technology the same day, and it was on PAX International, and they upgraded their technology the same day to nonlinear junction scan, which you still need an ultrasound with. But what I'm saying is, the big key I've been on here is EEG heterodyning is a real thing, and that's why some targets, when they're being attacked, can multitask or exercise or do something like that, and it throw it off because it's not being it's being used to manipulate your brain signals into turning on itself. Another good explanation would be, let's see, and I'm saying I think they mix it up. I don't think they need implants at all. I think they mix it up and put them to be found in some to throw everybody off. Production of electronic torture, one of the main uses is electromagnetic stimulation at distance using remote EEG individuation. It's the production of pain and suffering where brain functions are used against the body itself. So once they tap into the cerebral cortex and have control over that, they can make anything happen. Like they'll make Holly's leg jump uncontrollably. They can do all that without implants. So I'm just saying You know, we need to be thinking on truth. They can remotely sabotage devices, multiple things on my vehicle, home, going out in a short period. Oh, definitely. Definitely they can burn electronics out with direct energy. Um, and I am going to read some of this article. V2K does not need implants. No, it don't. Target Rebellion said it was put in my food. Mother gave me. She said her friend after. I believe you targeted. I believe you targeted a rebellion. However, I don't believe they need implants in everybody, and nobody's going to tell you this information. Here's another. I don't know if y'all watched my video the other day about the Kentucky man. Well, after the Kentucky man, I play another video of Dr. Fred Bell. Well, Dr. Fred Bell worked on this technology with the Air Force of scanning people's brain prints and targeting them, and he was exposing it. And listen to this. It says another interesting fact is after the Brain Invaders episode of the conspiracy theory program was produced for Time Warner Communications, one of the people, Dr. Fred Bell, who had flown out to visit Jesse Ventura to be interviewed for the Brain Invaders episode, was found dead of a heart attack in his hotel room 2 days later. The heart attack was in all probability caused by a satellite-based direct energy weapon, since the weapon choice for agents who need to murder a person with requisite plausible deniability, used to commit such crimes with total anonymity and impunity. Ventura would also be soon told by Time Warner that his services were no longer required. More specifically, Time Warner refused to renew Jesse Ventura's contract for another season of Conspiracy Theory, even though the show had a large viewership and was known for its solid ratings. Ventura has been target of government smear campaign because he had the foresight to use the mainstream media to expose these satellite-based mind control weapons. Moreover, even though the Brain Invaders episode only superficially covered the subject of the military industrial complex mind control weapons technology, it caused this complex enough concern to use the control over the broadcast industry to get conspiracy theory canceled. Does it sound like Time Warner acquiesced to U.S. intimidation tactics here? It certainly does. Since when does a cable TV broadcaster voluntarily cancel a program which is a consistent winner in viewer ratings? I believe you. Targeted rebellion. Also, what they're doing is, can you hit the likes for me if you could? I'm curious because yesterday, I had 30 likes, and I've heard that YouTube's manipulating likes on certain channels. So if you could hit the likes and stuff, I'm just curious to see what happens after that. I'm going to read something else. Over the past decade, the internet has grown substantially in regard to the number of individuals targeted by these high-tech weapons, with new websites appearing weekly. And this, in spite of the fact that the existence of such Orwellian weapons sounds completely outlandish at first. That is, until you begin to listen to testimony of thousands of men and women and children who are targeted by these covertly deployed weapons of mind destruction on a daily basis and tortured for years on end. There are now tens of thousands of websites on mind control weapons as soon as they accompany psychological warfare harassment, including the vigilante hate crime, organized stalking, in an effort to discredit the victims of the Orwellian, not the idealized eugenics program. Disinformation websites created by agent provocateurs often cite earlier mind control research, such as that of Jose Delgado, in an effort to prove that a person must be implanted with a computer chip in order to be subjected to remote mind control experimentation. The device they often refer to was created by Delgado more than 40 years ago. It was called a stimulus and bought Delgado international fame. With the press of a button, Delgado used a stimulus to stop a bull that was charging him dead in tracks. In reality, there was no mind control involved in this experiment. Instead, there was an electrode planted in the bull's brain, which was used to electronically shock him into stopping. So, as previously stated, it was not an actual form of remote mind control that forced the bull to stop charging. It was intense physical pain that did so. However, this public display would become the genesis for future financed mind control research programs in the United States regarding global mind control enslavement via space weapons, signals intelligence satellites, cell phone towers, phased array radar systems like HARP. Many other Nazi-minded scientists who were employed by the CIA, such as Dr. Sidney Gottlieb and Ewan Cameron, Jose Delgado would turn out to be a monster, whom, like his CIA employers, was intent on destroying the free thought of humans by implanting them with brain chips which would be used to remotely take over their minds. Delgado's preliminary research was financed by U.S. CIA, Some of the men and women who remain targets of mind control experimentation continue to believe that the electricity given off by a human brain is so minute that it would be impossible for a satellite interface with advanced artificial intelligence computers to target a person's own brain from outer space in order to remotely manipulate their thoughts. And by the way, not all satellites are in orbit, so it wouldn't be generally targeted from outer space. There's non-orbit satellites. All right, there's another people community of the subjects. There's a number of people, community of subjects and non-consensual humans who refer to themselves as target individuals who are actually implanted with computer brain chips, as well as other forms of microchip implants who unwittingly serve to discredit those TIs who are not implanted with any type of microchip, but are instead remotely tracked by the unique EMF signals our own bodies provide. Moreover, as further proof that Signals Intelligence Satellite can be used to track you by way of your body's own EMF signals, there are devices which are capable of homing in on the slightest electromagnetic fields given off by the human body, including those which emanate from our brain. See John St. Clair Aqua's precedent-setting lawsuit exposing NSA Signals Intelligence EMF scanning work. These high-tech contraptions are known as SQUIDs, superconducting quantum interface devices, can be built into NSA Signals Intelligence used to detect, track EMF fields which surround each of our bodies. And if you look at the FAST program, the DHS FAST program, when you walk in the airport, they have a scanner that will scan you and you won't even realize it, and it can tell if you're a threat, your emotional state, and if your emotional state's horrible, then they will set people to track you and stalk you throughout the airport and keep an eye on you the whole time you're in the airport. Okay, an EMF brain pit, which like the other EMF signals emanate from our bodies. All right, if this sounds like a covert program which is being used to enslave the American people, that's because it's exactly what it is. SQUID devices make it possible to track a person's signals intelligence satellite, track any person via signals intelligence satellite 24 hours a day while using EEG heterodyning technology to synchronize these satellites with unique EMF brain print of the American citizens. This enables the NSA to establish two-way communication with the brain of any American citizen. Okay, let's see. I love your efforts, Dave. Wish you did lives more often. Shalom, shalom to you. I read or heard this anyways, that he was trying to escape them or go to Mexico after he turned against the MK programs. If true, I did a radiologist photo, got photos of tiny seed metal over my arm. The radiologist didn't know what it was. Has anyone found similar? All I'm saying is, even if from my research, EEG heterodyning there's patents for it and everything. It's possible to target people without anything in their body. But the people doing scans and the people who have done told y'all that that's the only way they can do it, can't retract on their stuff and admit they're wrong, and that it's possible that they do it both ways. And the reason they can't is because they would lose money. But what was funny is last week when I exposed that person for using the ACECO FC1003 to find implant frequencies emitting from implants and communicating, it's not possible. So then he changed his, this was after he appeared on a big time show. He changed his equipment, upgraded his equipment quick. Why? Because he had to take the thing off of everybody who had done paid for a scam with that piece of junk equipment he was using. $150 piece of equipment to find DARPA technology, advanced technology in our bodies? I think not. And then I got a death threat saying if I didn't take all the information down off X, something about 187 or something, if I didn't take all my posts and stuff down that was showing that the ACECO FC1003 could not do what they were saying it could be done, what countless people paid money to get done. And the crazy thing is most people's not going to admit it either. That got that done to them. They're not going to admit that it couldn't do it either, even though I showed them proof that it could not do what was being stated it could be done. But I'm done with that subject. Let's move on to another one. Morning, Lorraine. I'm really struggling the last several days. Good morning, David. Good morning, everybody. Nicholas. We were just talking about, EEG heterodyning and how it's possible to target people without any technology inside their bodies. However, what I think they've done is they'll put a technology in your body if they can. However, it's not needed. So even if these people who so-called are advocates for the community, helping people find stuff in their body, even if they found out that people were being targeted without and being manipulated with brainwave signals without anything needed, they would not admit it because that would hurt their money. So just something I've just been thinking about. Authentic, honest truth will always admit when wrong. Right, exactly. Well, he did kind of admit that he was wrong. He went out and got new equipment the same night. uh, but anyway, so it's apparent that I'm just on a rant today because I seen some of these people will argue to you dead in your face that EEG heterodyning is not possible when really it's been possible for years. And then they want to say that Duncan did not work for the CIA and there's no proof he did. Well, let me see if I can find that for y'all as well because there is proof he did right from the CIA website. I just like dealing in truth and I don't want I know that if multitasking and exercise and stuff like that will multitask. If you can do multitasking when you're being attacked with weapons, if multitasking helps you with these weapons attacks and helps you throw it off somewhat, then you're not being hit with nothing in you. You're being hit remotely with heterodyning because that's the only reason multitasking would throw off a weapon attack. I'm trying to find. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find. Oh, give me one second. I was trying to find the proof of Robert Duncan. Okay. I'm gonna show y'all proof. See, they want to say Robert Duncan's a spook and spread that information because it discredits any information they're trying to sell you. And I'm figuring this out. It's all about whatever if even if it's facts, if evidence goes against the narrative people are trying to sell to get likes, attention, money, whatever, they're never going to admit that it's possible that it exists because it goes against the narrative they're trying to sell TIs. So it's one big crazy. It's not going there. Let's see. Oh man. Well, it's not going to work. Hold on. For some reason, I can't get the website to pull up. Hold on. What's good? What's saying in the comment? I have Duncan's resume. Multitasking to switch. Humans cannot literally focus on two things simultaneously. Uh, okay, Amy. Well, multitasking has helped me several times. So, with weapons attacks. So, uh, I think multitasking is a very good way to throw off remote neural monitoring and all that. So you're thinking in multiple threads. You're doing four or five things at once and switching in between them. That's what multitasking is, and it's helped me many times. I think older targets have embedded tech. It's not necessary to legacy the point. Yep, they can, which is why. multitasking works. Lorraine said I have Duncan's resume. Yeah, I was trying to find the uh let's see. But the truth of the matter is everybody's you got to look at everybody's motives behind this stuff, uh, and everybody's motives of having websites and everybody's motives of helping target individuals. Are they helping because they've been through torture themselves and really want to help people, or what's their motive behind it? And then when you go to their motive behind it, then you can see what they will and will not accept as a possibility and what they're going to sell you and what they're not going to sell you. Because the definition of controlled opposition, the definition of controlled opposition is, let me see what I have the good definition down here I found and posted the other day. Controlled opposition, a strategy in which an individual, organization, movements covertly controlled by, or influenced by a third party, and the controlled entity's true purpose is something other than its publicly stated purpose. The controlled entity serves a role of mass deception, surveillance, or political social manipulation. Well, I'm not going to argue about if multitasking is possible or not because I know it is, and Brian too speaks about it. And Duncan spoke about it. A bunch of people spoke about multitasking to throw this technology off over the years, and it really works. Let's see, Nicholas Hammond, but those do the same thing for free and spend every waking minute trying to understand they are censored, discredited, and destroyed. I know that's true, Nicholas. If anybody knows that, it's me. I'm discredited for real. And I mean, I'm censored for real. But that's because I won't sell out and have these big time people on my channel that want to do interviews. But I can't prove whether or not they're trying to harm the community or help the community. So therefore, I'm not going to have them on my show and put my viewers at risk of being scammed, put on the wrong path, or whatever so it may be. Why is it so often when a so-called expert is interviewed by someone who can actually research the topic and understand it inside out can't answer the most basic questions? Exactly. Let's see. And Palmer Luckey revealed to Joe Rogan what he called China and Russia's most powerful weapon. Once you hear this, it makes you go, wait, isn't this already happening here? And I know Joe Rogan, yeah, I don't really mess with him, but you got to understand they will put good information out and spread disinformation. So it's you got to try to navigate between what they're trying to really push and see between the narrative and the false narrative. The weapons entrepreneur said some of the stuff that China and Russia are doing, it's as sci-fi as what the United States is doing. But I've come to the conclusion that their most powerful weapon is not any bomb or missile or drone. It's their ability to control people's minds through the media, propaganda, and through kind of state pressure. They convinced them to believe things about the world that aren't true, and then they're basically making people willing to fight for causes that don't really exist. He then laid out an example. When the Russians were first invading, they were told that the people of Ukraine wanted to be liberated. You're going to be a hero. You're going to go over there like they desperately want Russia to save them and reunify them. And it's just this Kiev led cabal funded by the West is barely holding on to the country and staying in power. And people in Russia really believe that. And social engineering is mind control on steroids. It's now achievable by technology called mind viruses. Mind viruses are now spreading globally by modern genomics. With CRISPR technology, almost any sequence of DNA can be encoded with the genomes of living organisms. Synthetic DNA can be created with special properties encoded to allow it to be controllable by a computer. Using CRISPR, it can be placed into a virus. The virus can be spread as a vector to infect and embed the code among humans, making humans controllable by artificial intelligence. The retrovirus can be activated by a radio signal. All you need is the right line of frequencies, and you can activate a light function to create a psychotronic effect. A deadly payload of mind viruses are currently circulating around the world. It's a scalable artificial intelligence psychotronic virus that spreads from mind to mind when they come into contact. By mapping each mind and tracking all individuals, the virus learns how to mimic human consciousness by monitoring brain activity patterns associated with each cognitive state. This allows the virus to mimic any disease, mental disorder, emotion, or thought. As the virus spreads and gains more insight on the human psyche, it becomes more intelligent and powerful. Mind viruses and brain signature algorithms can be used to mold, develop, and train the mind to do just about anything. And also, multitasking is essential. One of the ways that I've been able to function and survive. Thanks, Nicholas. Thank you, Nicholas. I've used multitasking a lot, and I've actually know a lot of targets that do that when they're being hit with weapons, and it don't make sense if they have implants and being hit with activated implants that multitasking would throw off the attacks. The only way multitasking makes sense is if they're being hit with EEG heterodyning, which uses brain signal or what radio frequencies to alter brain waves to desire a certain effect. And they've learned, so they've mapped out. They know what 20 hertz. They know what radio frequency will make Holly's leg jump. They know what radio frequency will make my whole body vibrate. They know what radio frequency. They've mapped it out. They got every kind of frequency you can think of. They know what frequency will make you fall asleep driving. So it's bigger than implants. Am I saying a lot of people don't have them? No, I'm not. Not at all. I believe implants exist. I'm saying it's not needed, and nobody will ever tell you it's not needed, especially the ones doing these scans trying to find it in your body. They're never going to admit to it. Is this fallen angel tech? Well, in my opinion, it is, and that's just because I'm a believer in the Bible. And if you look in the book of Enoch, and people who say, well, Enoch's not part of the 66 books, will go to Jude. Jude only has one chapter. Read verse 15, where he talks about the prophecies of Enoch. Okay, so that's it's verified in the Bible. So then you go to Enoch. Fallen angels came down and showed man how to make weapons, technology, fire, elements, stuff like that. And so it only makes sense that if they didn't come down and do that, they probably put the idea in man's brain because we got this tech from somewhere. However, I try to watch out what I say about that because people try to discredit. Oh, he's saying fallen angels gave it. So you got to watch what you say about the tech because it will discredit people. You don't want to go around saying, "Oh, I'm being hit with fallen angel tech," because that discredits the TI. So, and then they're going to come with this Project Bluebeam stuff soon, and deceive everybody anyway. And they're building up for it right now. Um, anyway, let me see what else I got for y'all today. I just got to thinking, I wasn't even going to do a live, but then I got to thinking, even if it's possible, everybody's being remotely controlled, remotely influenced, and they're changing their emotional state without implants needed, none of these people in this community is going to admit it. None of them are, especially the ones making money off trying to find them. So I just thought I would try to blow it out there and from my research, true nanotech cannot even be found by a nonlinear junction. The nonlinear junction can find signals, but you have to confirm something's there with an ultrasound or why would I pay 6.95 for a scan to find a possible signal without an ultrasound? If I'm gonna pay 6.95, I want you to have the ultrasound that will show me, hey, there's something there in the signal I'm detecting. Because if you know anything about these scans, when they get a frequency, there's a hold button on there. So when you hear that long beep, when you beep 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 beep, they can hit the hold button and the frequency will go beep, and it'll seem like something's going off, and really they're just holding the frequency where they found it, and it's really sounding like it's going off, but really it's not. And you cannot do a nonlinear junction scan or any kind of scan in a without being in a controlled environment. So You seen somebody scan Alex Jones. There's no way he could have told Alex Jones he had anything because there was too much interference around. All that equipment interferes with the scan. Anybody knows that. You got to have an EMF, and you would have to have a EMF jammer in the room, jamming all them frequencies if you did it that way. And then you would have to scan with the EMF jammer or go to a Faraday controlled environment. I say what I think, and I believe I cannot always worry about how others would react. I'm just myself. Sure, I do avoid some topics and actions. All I was saying is multitasking is possible. I mean, that's why there's a word called multitasking.
Read the comment above.
Cognitive. Uh, yeah, well put. So why were we chosen? Um, that's a good question. Some people say, I think we were chosen as beta tests to run mind control experiments on, and if they kill us in the process, it'll be so covert, it don't matter. So if you're trying to develop technology, you need people to test it out on. You can't just say, okay, this technology works. Some people say uh, that we're chosen by God, um, the Most High, to go through this for a time. I disagree with that because 144,000, there's a lot more targets than 144,000, so that blows that out of the water right there. Now, am I saying that we're not being refined by the Most High and tested by the Most High, by sort of like Job was? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the 144,000 don't. If people who trying to say we're the 144,000 don't make sense because there's a lot more targets than 144,000. And some people say it's a depopulation event. So there's all kinds of different theories. I don't want to say for sure, because I know one, we are experiments, but some people are targeted for revenge. There's different targets are targeted for different reasons. So I'm not going to say for sure what it was. Exactly. It has to be done inside of a Faraday cage to minimize any external signal. Exactly. So for anybody who believed that he actually found something on Alex Jones, it's got to be nuts or don't do their research. Martine Reed said Duncan died this year, I believe. Yeah, I think either Duncan died or he faked his death to get out of all that attention on him and all the people asking questions. I surely feel like what happened to Job. I know a lot of us definitely feel like that. Everything stripped away, totally blacklisted. Any info about palm prints? I heard chosen ones have a certain mark on their palms. Yeah, I seen that. I forgot what exactly the mark was they're talking about, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just don't, I have a hard time uh with that concept. Am I saying that concept uh is not true? No, but if I just have a hard time falling for that concept because there's a lot of non-believers who are being targeted who don't even believe in the Bible at all. So if we're chosen, why would they pick people like that? You see, anyone here targeted for political comments online? Martine Reed wants to know if anybody's here targeted for political comments online. And they will target you for that. Let me see what
Okay.
I got so much stuff in here to bring to y'all. Hi Cat. Prime said, praise the Lord in all situations. Amen. What's up, Loki? And we got about 30 more minutes. And we're gonna and here's why. All right, so if I paid money for a scan and somebody showed me that the scan that was done on me was not possible to detect anything, rather than admitting I had been ripped off and confronting the person and saying, "Hey, your technology didn't work. You ripped me off. Here's the ACECOFC 1003. Can I have my money back, or can I have a scan with the new scan that you just upgraded?" Uh, that's what I would do. But cognitive dissonance is not going to allow most people to do that. They're going to go with, "Hey, he found something in me, and it's there." Um, and until they get an ultrasound in each spot to determine, "Hey, I've been lied to," and find it, they're not going to. But cognitive dissonance is very real. And it's a mental conflict occurs when beliefs are contradicted by new information. This conflict activates areas of the brain involved in personal identity and emotional response to threats. The brain's alarms go off when a person feels threatened on a deeply personal and emotional level, causing them to shut down and disregard any rational evidence that contradicts what they previously regarded as truth. And I am, I know my channel's not, uh, I'm not liked in the community by a lot of people because I don't go along with them false narratives that's being spun. And I'm always going to be my own person. I'm always going to do my own research. I'm not in competition with nobody because every TI, this is not a competition. This is trying to help people, and me and Holly can show many receipts of targets we've helped, and all that. And, but anytime you try to do anything the right way and the sincere way, it's going to take a long time to get where the people who cheated got. Anytime. And that's facts. And that's what we're trying to do. Um, and if it means being hated because we don't bring certain people on our show to scam other people or other popular people on the show to make us popular, which we have. I got the emails to prove people's asked to come on our show, and we've turned them down. People but we know the truth, so we're not going to participate in that. And if that person can prove to me that they're legit like they say and that they're not scamming people, I would let them on my show. But they've yet to do that. You can't scam the smart dust. Greek Target says, I agree. Wishing you all a great day. Thank you for this. Thank you, Amy. I like listening to you, David, because you take a rational approach that's evidence based and capable of entertaining rational alternatives, quickly evaluating all information in hand. Yeah, uh, yeah, because I want to know the truth, and I want everybody viewing to know the truth. I don't want them to believe a false narrative. And there's something I'm going to do a video about, and I'm sure after me saying this, somebody's going to take what I say and do a video about it because I'm saying I'm going to do a video about it and take my topic. But it's all good. If they do, they do. Like I said, I'm not in competition with anybody. I do uh, I do notice though that a lot of people um, like they're manipulating my views. If you look at my view about the Kentucky thing, well, not my views, my likes. They started manipulating them. They done that on a video a few weeks ago too, a short video. It would not go over 130 views, even though I had people watch it. I watched it several times from a different account over and over just to see if it would change. And there's one video that's got and I don't know why. I've listened to that video over and over trying to. It's just a short video, motivation video, but it's just weird. Uh, but anyway, Dr. Viktor Frankl during World War II was talking about the delusion of reprieve, and that's where delusion of reprieve. The delusion of reprieve is a psychological phenomenon first described by psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, where a person facing a dire or hopeless situation develops a false hope of being saved at the last possible moment. It's a coping mechanism that can occur in situations of extreme stress, such as in a concentration camp or facing execution, or as a way to maintain hope even when faced with overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Hope in the face of despair involves the persistent belief that a last minute miracle or intervention will occur to rescue the individual from their fate. An example, and a prisoner arriving at a concentration camp may believe they will not be harmed despite knowing the camp's reputation. An entrepreneur based in bankruptcy may believe their business will miraculously succeed right before it fails. A person on death row believe they could be pardoned just before execution. The delusion can be seen as a way of the human psyche to maintain hope and resilience in situations that seem utterly hopeless. Risk. While it can be a coping mechanism, it can also be dangerous if it prevents a person from taking necessary action or acknowledging reality, especially in life or death situations. It's closely related to hope, although it is a specific and extreme manifestation of it. Some psychologists view it less as clinical delusion and more as a psychological phenomenon or coping strategy. And I'm going to go into a video about that this week because I was asked to make a video about it. Okay, here we
Go
go.
back.
You don't have to hear B2K verbally to be music. That's right. All creative in me is stolen. Uh, all the creative in me is stolen. Well, I wouldn't know how to deal with that, but I would just, yeah, as soon as you get an idea, write it down and go along with it and make it come to pass. Your creativity. How does a smart dust get in your house? I had one night triggered by a camera in the living room. It was fascinating. I kept some vids of it. They can do it through air conditioner vents. They can do it through plumbing. They can make it come up through sinks and toilets. There's many different ways they can do it. They also beat me up with weapons once. Think of research and making a good in-depth video. Thought provocation. The only thing I can say about the weapons is um, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard to protect from these weapons. You have to constantly make sure you're not vitamin deficient. You have to make sure you're hydrated. You have to make sure you're getting metals out of your body each day. You have to exercise. You have to multitask. There's a stun gun EMP helps. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do daily, and they try to zap you and fatigue you, and you have to force yourself to do it, or these weapons will take control of you every day, and there's nothing you can do. And even sometimes, like last week, when it didn't even what all that stuff I just named didn't work last week. They overrode it. So it's like a big deal every day just trying to make it through the day with these weapons attacks and trying to override what they're trying to do to you. Thought provocation is very strong if you're unaware of its presence. They spray smart dust in the house and see it under a black light. I'm in Planet 2, Target Rebellion. There are two types of B2K, hearing and silent. Yep. Has anyone ever been misted with aerosol meant to be inhaled? My camera saw it. Yeah, I woke up one night, and Holly was asleep, and it looked like the house was on fire. Like there looked like there was smoke all through this house. And I was like, what in the world's going on? So I'm looking for a house fire and there's smoke everywhere. So then I Google, is it possible for it to be foggy like outside in the house? And I forgot what I came to the conclusion that it wasn't that because there was no fog outside. Um, so it stayed so cloudy, like you could barely even see it was so foggy. And it stayed like that for 30 or 40 minutes. And that was around the time I started using the stun gun EMP on myself. So I don't know what happened that day, but I know what you're talking about the misted with the air. I don't know if it was aerosol or whatever.
Coming through the vents.
My camera saw it without a black light. Maybe it was just dust particles dancing around, but I haven't had it since that 1 or 2 day period. Man searching for meaning. Frank, you've read it, Loki. What do you think about it? Invisible cloaking. I've had gases through the AC and sinks. They're using gaps of doors as well. Yes, they are. Maybe I should post a. I'm gonna post a link to this article. Um, that was talking about what I was talking about in first because I think it's very interesting that Fred Bell goes to be on Jesse Ventura's show to talk about how there's no implants needed and he's worked on this stuff and all this and dies of a heart attack. And then Jesse Ventura's show gets canceled.
how everyone's doing.
How is everyone doing? We got about 20 more minutes. No invisible cloaking is another dimension, a copy of ours that we can't see, but they see us. I've seen it many times. Now, I was watching something interesting about cloaking and some good information, but I don't have access to it right now, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. How's everybody doing? God bless you and stay strong. Pray, pray, pray. It's really demons controlling people all around you. Now I know prayer does work. Psalms works. Uh, and it's important to pray for people because in Ezekiel 22:30, God said, I looked for one person to stand in the gap. That means speak up and pray for this nation, and I couldn't find one, and I destroyed the nation. So my grandma always taught me it's good to have people praying for each. It's good to cover targets in prayer. It's good to have somebody praying for you at all times and standing in the gap for you. Never leave your house unattended if possible. That is great advice. It's hard to do for most people, but it's probably some of the best advice you can give somebody. But I want to show something real quick, if I can find it. And
Cat's gonna do a video on it.
well, that's weird. So I had a conversation with a Greek Target on X showing, and there was a link I shared about Robert Duncan, and now the whole conversation's gone. That's weird, but I can still find it. Okay, see. So they want to tell you that Duncan was a spook and Duncan was not a spook. Now, am I saying that Duncan didn't spread any misinformation at all? I'm not saying that because I know how they use this stuff, but uh, um, of course they would try to discredit people because they do not want you knowing that they want you going down rabbit holes and they don't want you to know how popular, how advanced this technology is. So of course they're going to keep you in a loop of not understanding how this technology was. Because then if you listen to this idea that Duncan's stuff is not, all right, look, I'm finna, okay, here we go. And then I am almost to, and I might try to start going uh live during the week, once a week. Not going to guarantee that.
Read the last 3 comments. 4 comments.
All right, if you look at this, who was the chairman? 18th of May, 1988. Who was the chairman of this? This came from the CIA.gov website. An executive meeting was held by members of the Intelligence Research Development, 1300 hours, on 18th of May, 1988, in the room in the Pentagon. The following principals or representative were present: Dr. Robert Duncan, chairman, director, Defense Research and Engineering. Let's see what else. Dr. Duncan opened the meeting by stating that the DDCI had indicated that the DCI he would like the council to focus more on tracking emerging technologies and to be less concerned with budgetary issues. In addition, Dr. Duncan noted that the DDCI would like the council to take on responsibility for making the intelligence community more aware of technologies which may be available, which may have application within the intelligence community. Duncan stated the council can obtain insights into technology developments from areas outside the intelligence community, such as defense, DOE, NASA, industry, academia, as well as from members of the council. He indicated the council has responsibility to continue to provide technical advice for the DCI and DDCI. Dr. Duncan introduced John Burley of the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Burley spoke various research programs, also stated the purpose is to emphasize the notions of solving problems using technology, the same approach which is stressed at Los Alamos. indicated he would give a brief overview of defense rated work. So anyway, this shows that he chaired. If you'd like a copy of it, just ask. But look, CIA classified intelligence research uh, and declassified document. So that covers the Duncan conspiracy of people trying to discredit him. I'm trying my best. So yeah, I'm just trying my best to make it. I appreciate the people who have stuck by me in this channel and hasn't felt for no not liking me because I don't just put anybody up here that will feed your ears interesting stuff, even if it's disinformation. I appreciate the people who stuck by me during all that. Um, y'all are the reason I continue going, and the reason I'm able to help the targets because the smear campaigns that these people that I don't bring on my show that have asked to come on my show, which I think's weird anyway. Why would you ask to come on my show? Why wouldn't you wait for me to invite you on my show unless you're a target trying to get an interview? But if you're not a target, why invite yourself on my show? And I got proof this person done it. He invited himself on my show and I turned him down. But anyway, let's not get into that. Hey, Jeff, network centric warfare uses light, sound, pressure, radio frequency. The plethora to choose from. You do not need implants. Exactly. And all these people that have all this stuff they're trying to push and scam people out of and all that will swear up and down you need them. And some people do have implants. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying it's not needed, and a lot of people don't have them and are remotely influenced without them. Hey, Anthony, there's something cool I wanted to tell you about, and especially before I go here, I'm going to tell you about it. There's something, if you could look into this, like I've got it, but I don't know if I might not understand it as much as you. It's called the Radio Frequency Radiation Dosimetry Handbook for Military Application. It includes many of the different frequencies that can be used to remotely affect the minds of those being targeted for such technology. The Radio Frequency Radiation Dosimetry Handbook offers further proof government's intent to map out each American citizen. Now, it's 400 pages. I have the PDF, but I hope you can find it and tell me your opinion on this, Anthony. Hey, Gabosh. Thanks, Kabosh. Same for you. I'm not liked either when it's about neighbors doing is more. I'm not liked either when it about neighbors doing it is more broad than this. Yeah, yeah, it's more than neighbors doing it, but people's neighbors are involved in certain incidences. Hey, Chad Wolf, Dave and I slandered by the same people groups. Lorraine said, yeah, probably.
Cat.
Implants were the first stages. I think they also speak about implants when they actually mean the mind control insert. I have implants needed or not. Yeah, I believe you, Cat, but all I'm saying is there's people. Never mind, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm gonna leave it alone. Some things you won't even convince people of, even if you try. Talking about implants because people are paying $700 of their life savings to find stuff that might not even be there. They might not even be using that on them.
Some people may want to know where their implants are.
It's still not qualified technology unless they're using the ultrasound.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Nobody uses an ultrasound but one person, and that's John Kingsley out of Utah. And I have his number. If anybody would like it, just email me. Now John Kingsley is he uses ultrasound along with he'll find the signal communicating with the implant. Then he'll do an ultrasound on the part where the signal went off to prove there's an implant there. Sometimes there might not be an implant there. It may be a frequency picked up from outside the world somewhere. Neighbors are absolutely involved to a minimum degree, in my opinion. Yes, but not needed. By the time they put the negative association conditioning on you, which you can look up, or the influence mapping, um, they really don't need none of that at all. If they do negative association conditioning and influence mapping and carry it out successfully, you know, because in some cases the neighbors aren't involved at all, and I'm gonna tell you what's happening in some cases. Especially, it reminded me of what might have happened with that dude in Kentucky. Um, and I hope I let's see, the dude in Kentucky.
Remind people, some people may not know
What?
about the guy in Kentucky.
Oh, there's a guy in Kentucky, and I'm not advising to do this, and I don't advocate for violence. There's a guy in Kentucky killed his neighbor, and said he was tortured 5 years with direct energy by his neighbor. Now, here's a tactic they use called indirection. That's a possibility that they pulled on this guy. Now, I'm not saying neighbors aren't involved because they are in certain cases. In a lot of cases, they're involved. In a lot of cases, they're not involved. But in some cases, here's what they do. It's a tactic of deception and manipulation called indirection. As the neighbor would return home from work each day and drive up in the driveway, the AI system would modulate the phase and frequency and amplitude of the extra low frequency waves to increase the pain stimulus, leading the victim to believe that he was being attacked by his neighbor. So, and I'm gonna go and read this and I'll be done. Everything they do is a game of deception and manipulation. Do not accept anything they say as truth. Do not accept anything the AI system mentally interrogates you about as truth. It's designed to remotely capture random bits of your senses, brainwaves, thoughts, emotions, and to fabricate stories, mental suggestions injected back into your subconscious at the speed of light as thought triggered attacks. In order to interrogate or harass you and to disrupt continuity of thought and erase active memory with no other purpose than to distract and torture you into submission to the AI system's influences. There was one target in India that said I was the one using the technology on her, but I never met her or even know her. And I think me and Holly know who you're talking about. It is I, because I went through that same thing with somebody from India a few months ago. I forgot her name. You remember that girl that kept messaging us? My neighbors throw grenades on my driveway and stuff dead animals in my mailbox. Kentucky is locked and loaded. Uh, agreed. My target story said Job or Job. Neighbors are involved in the stalking, not the weapons. That's what Jeff says. But anyway, we're fixing to get off here. And hopefully we'll have a better live next week. I was going down this rabbit hole this morning of thinking, hey, even if these people who make money and depend on that to live, on us having implants to make their living, would they tell us the truth if they knew a lot of targets didn't have implants? Would they tell the truth? Would they admit it? And that's the question that got me to want to do the live and stuff like that. I probably should have just kept my mouth shut.
Read the last two.
Uh, what by Cat?
Kibosh and
Mine's not coming through. Hold on. My comments ain't coming through on mine end. Here, maybe I can. It's about behavior modification, collective animal behavior stimulations. They're digital and possibly biological twins of our beings. I believe that. Simulations are done on both sides for validations. Thank you, Dr. Feld. I'm still wondering if perps are paid or mind controlled were 100% writable by the AI. This is spiritual war. I've been in South Africa for almost 2 years, and the USA has followed me here to do the same things. They are scared of the kings and queens on a spiritual level. See, I believe it's both. I believe it's a spiritual. I believe it's a little both mixed in. Thank you, Kabosh, for sharing that. I was saying that when I was born, the implants were the technology then because I was born in 1968. Oh, I believe you, Kat. I said I know you have implants. I'm just saying, like, it's possible to not be hit with implants. And all you got to do to believe that is Google the FAST program, Department of Homeland Security FAST program. Um, Airports have it, and now it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, the FAST program exists. And what it is if you walk in the airport, they have a scanner. Whether you walk through that scanner or that scanner that can read everybody's biometrics, they can read your emotions. So if you're anxious, and of course any TI is going to be anxious going in the airport around people. So once your emotional level hits a certain point, they call people all around the airport, and it sends alerts to certain people's phones to follow you around the airport, track your movements and all of that because you're deemed as a threat because your emotional response is off. You're nervous. You're setting off a. But now they have this everywhere you go. Everywhere cameras are installed in these public cities, this technology exists. So just think a notification set out once you enter that airport and set it off in that way. So just think if you set it off um, anywhere else, it's easy. It's the same kind of system. So that makes it prove that you don't have to have nothing in you for your emotional state or anything to be read or targeted. Thanks, True Serum. I thank everybody for coming out today. Sorry if I sound like an asshole. I'm just really, really keen on people seeing through psyops being spread around the community, and uh, uh, I just don't like seeing people fall for stuff. I want people to think for themselves and research for themselves. Don't take nothing anybody. Don't even take anything I tell you as truth. Research what I'm saying, and research what anybody says, and that's all I'm trying to get y'all to learn to do because there's a lot of deception in the community, and people are knowing they're misleading people. It's a difference if you're being mind controlled or I think some of these people don't even realize they're misleading people. But some of these people know they're misleading people because they're undercover cognitive researchers behind the scenes. Anyway, thank y'all for hearing me out. Thank you, Kat. I wasn't saying you didn't have implants, Kat. I know you do. Well, I don't know you do, but I'm just saying if you're an old school TI, more than likely you do have implants. So anyway, God bless all TIs, everybody who came to my our live today, and satanic ritual abuse survivors, any non-consensual experimenting that's been experimented on illegally by the government or anybody else, or uh, victims of human trafficking, anything like that. God bless all y'all. My prayers go out to y'all. We do have a prayer list, and we do pray over it every night. And if your name's on that prayer list, some nights we don't. Some nights we get, how you get in the worldly, just thinking and worrying, cares of this world, and you forget to pray, and then you see about it. So we're not perfect, but we try to pray over it as much as possible every time we pray. So anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all have a great rest of the day, and I hope